save percentage. And considering that she's a full-time starter for this Bombers, extremely saying something, because you would expect someone like Held to be more burnt out, to have a lot less stamina, but she is able to stay in there for an entire game and play at an extremely high level for the entirety of that time.
Definitely, and I mean, you mentioned a full-time starter. She actually is second in the Liberty League in minutes this season, so absolutely, she has been the leading the leading figure here in net for the Bombers. And now looking over on the Skidmore team, they are obviously, we talked about how they are in desperation mode. However, they do have two. They are on they are on a 2-game win streak coming into today, coming off of wins over Rochester and RIT in the Liberty League tournament. So how much confidence does the Skidmore team have right now coming into a very, very tough Higgins Stadium, a hard place to win?
They are absolutely red hot on offense. Obviously, they scored 15 goals against Rochester, 22 against RIT. They've been passing very, very well. A little bit of a shout out to Maddie Marr, who has, though she hasn't been scoring the most goals, she does have 14 assists on the season and does not turn the ball over whatsoever. For a Skidmore team that has some issues putting the ball back on the ground, Maddie Marr has been an absolute juggernaut in facilitating offense. That said, you do have to shout out Gabriella Modesti and Jillian Lockwood, who are the actual goal scorers for this team, 35 and 32 goals on the season, respectively. But Modesti is the engine of this team. That is where the majority of the focus needs to go for the Ithaca defense and probably for the play-by-play callers who are going to be in here after us. Modesti's going to be touching the ball for the majority of the time. She shoots very well. She had 6 goals against RIT earlier this week. She is an absolute force, and her 18 assists on top of her 35 goals means that she has some of the most points in the entirety of the conference.
Of course, and I mean, you talk about offensive weapons for the Skidmore team. There are certainly quite a bit. And then who on the Ithaca defense is going to be looked at to shut down those players like Modesti and Lockwood today against Skidmore?
We've got to be looking at Caitlin Russell. She's one of the most powerful defenders on the entire team. She's not just in the numbers, but in terms of the on-field presence. Overall, she can fly around when she needs to. She's got good speed. She's got good power. And against St. John Fisher earlier in the week, she had 3 forced turnovers, which on its own can turn the pace of a game very, very quickly, especially with a Skidmore team that doesn't have the best ball security. Obviously, it's nowhere as questionable as Ithaca's, but it's something that definitely will be looked out for.
Well, not even just to mention her performance against Hamilton, but I mean, at St. John Fisher, she had 6 ground balls and 4 caused turnovers, 2 career highs for her in that game. And so, obviously, she's been playing very, very well. And now looking back over on this Skidmore team real quickly, I want to talk about their goaltending. They have split goaltenders. And what do you expect to see? What kind of diversity does that bring for the Skidmore team going up against a team like Ithaca?
It means they get to keep a pretty fresh set no matter what, no matter who's playing. You can sub out when you need to. If you have questions, you can go. And that's what ended up happening yesterday, or earlier in the week, pardon me, where Bechelian ended up coming in later in the game. But I expect Phoebe Bechelian to be playing the majority of the game today. When she starts, she ends up playing at least like 50 to 55 of the minutes, and then they'll pop in someone else at the end. And then she gets games off every now and again. So, I mean, obviously their other goaltender is excellent. That said, I expect Bechelian to get the majority of the time in today. She has very, very good numbers, although she has a very low save percentage and can be very reliant on her defensive front.
Of course, I mean, you talk about split minutes. Both goaltenders for Skidmore, you mentioned Bechelian and also Kazanjian, have almost the exact same number of minutes, 459 minutes for Bechelian and 451 for her counterpart. And so it's going to be very interesting to see. We did see something similar to this in the Hamilton game a little bit earlier on Wednesday, where Hamilton actually split their periods, their quarters, to where one goaltender, I believe, played 2 quarters, and then the other 2 goaltenders on their roster split up the other 2 quarters. And so it'll be very interesting to see. It wasn't necessarily super successful for Hamilton, as definitely some goaltenders performed better than others. It'll be definitely very interesting to see how that pans out for Skidmore today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely think Kazanjian is an excellent goalkeeper, but she did play the majority of the minutes earlier in the week, so I do think that Bechelian is going to have at least the majority of touches. That said, if they really want to win this game against Ithaca, maybe dividing up that time like the Hamilton game would have more effectiveness, as this team for Skidmore definitely has a little bit more effectiveness in the goal zone.
Absolutely. And I mean, you talk about Skidmore's offensive prowess, and I mean, how aggressive do you think Skidmore's going to be coming out of the gate, knowing that this is their season on the line?
Well, their offense is white hot right now. Obviously, they have a lot of great facilitators across their roster. I do think they're going to come out playing very aggressive, knowing that if you get past the Ithaca defensive line, you're going to get a great shot on goal. That's not to say anything against Lexi Held, but it has been shown she's been getting shot on a lot this year, and she's allowing a lot of goals. This Ithaca defense has been very porous. So if Skidmore comes out aggressive, it's going to take a big adjustment from Ithaca to stay in it, despite their positive record.
Well, I also think, you talk about how porous this Ithaca defense has been. I think it's mainly been the defense that has actually been the best aspect of this Ithaca Bombers team, as the offense really hasn't been able to show up consistently in those crucial moments when the Bombers have needed it to. Especially you look at games like William Smith, you look at games like St. John Fishar. It was really up until Hamilton this week where I really think we saw the first time where the Ithaca offense has been able to come back in those crucial situations and give the defense the goals that it needs in order to keep this team competitive.
That's absolutely fair. Consistency has been the biggest question for the Ithaca offense. I still have my issues with the defense. That's more of a personal thing for me because while they are consistent, they do allow a good number of shots. But that said, the only reason that they lose those games when they're allowing 11-ish goals per game, the only reason that's an issue is because the offense is so inconsistent. So you're absolutely right about that, Alex. That said, I do believe that Skidmore's aggressiveness could be the difference between them winning and losing this if the Ithaca team is going to continue the momentum that they found against Hamilton earlier this week.
Of course, and I mean, obviously Hamilton, a heartbreaker of a loss for this Ithaca team, losing the last goal scored from Hamilton with only 5.2 seconds on the clock. I was actually on the call for that game with Jeremy Goldstein early, and it was a heartbreaker to watch. However, I think that this Ithaca team, coming out of the gates today, especially on senior day, they are going to be very, very angry and very, very mad and definitely want some retribution for that Hamilton loss, and I would not be surprised to see them come out themselves very, very aggressive in this game.
Definitely, I could see Ithaca being very galvanized, especially after having such a rough 2-game losing streak. That said, I would like to point out Skidmore does have their top 2 offensive scorers have 3 game-winning goals between them, that being Jillian Lockwood has 2 and Modesti has 1 of her own. I do think that this is a Skidmore team that's very good in the clutch despite what their record suggests. So this is a scary situation for Ithaca. Absolutely,
and I would like to say this is that every single time this season that I've seen so far from the Ithaca Bombers time, every time that they have suffered a brutal loss, we saw one, earlier on in the season against Cortland here at Higgins Stadium where they once again lost in heartbreaking fashion on the last-second goal. The next game that followed was against FDU Florham where they absolutely destroyed them and they came out super, super aggressive and super, super angry, galvanized because of that loss, and I would not be surprised to see the exact same thing play out here against Skidmore.
Absolutely. This is an experienced coaching matchup when you look at Carrie Murray and Elizabeth Gildani for both teams. I do think that this is going to come down to who has the better strategy here, whether it's going to be aggression, whether it's going to be locking down. Whoever has the better game plan to start is going to control the momentum, and I think that will decide the game.
Absolutely, and I mean, perhaps one of those strategies for head coach Carrie Moore of the Ithaca Bombers is to maybe get that. You talked about a little bit earlier how getting shots down and getting opportunities down on that baseline is going to be so crucial. I would not be surprised if she tries to get Maisie Veach going down in that area, as she is the most dominant offensive presence that I think I've seen all season from anybody in the Liberty League down in that baseline area. She loves that. That's her wheelhouse. That's her office where she definitely likes to work from.
Absolutely true. If she gets going, Maisie Veach can be an absolute powerhouse. That's why she's been a multi-time Liberty League Offensive Player of the Week. It's nothing to say. She's going to be a contender, and no matter how the Ithaca Bombers end up seated in the postseason, they're going to have a lot of chances, mainly because of how potent their offense can be when they are running on all cylinders. That said, on the other side of it, head coach Elizabeth Gildari for the Skidmore Thoroughbreds has more experience. When it comes down to it, she knows what she's doing, and they run an extremely potent offense, too, that Ithaca needs to watch out for.
Of course. Well, that is all the time that we have for the pregame show here on WICB Radio. Please stay tuned for play-by-play and color coming up from Tobias Zabora and Kyle DeSantis. You're listening to WICB Radio and the Bomber Radio Network.
Hey, it's Ithaca College alum and Sports Center anchor Kevin Connors. 91.7 FM is your home for coverage of Bomber sports. Keep it here, WICB Ithaca.
What's up, Toby?
WICB's music director.
I'm good. How long until you guys want to go on?
8 to 9. Here are the fresh modern rock tracks.
All right, sounds good.
For the first time on air. Discover the next big...
This is about another 20 seconds, okay? And then I'll count you guys in.
And the newest music from your favorite artists. That's Monday nights from 8 to 9 on 92 WICB.
All right, you guys ready? All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
One final chance. On Wednesday, the Ithaca College women's lacrosse team squandered a golden opportunity to set the record straight and get back on track by falling to Hamilton. And as the sun sets on the regular season, the Bombers have one final game to get their footing under them before the Liberty League playoffs. Standing in their way, the Skidmore College Thoroughbreds, who themselves need a win and a miracle from Union if they want to make their postseason dreams come true. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the final day of the Liberty League regular season from a dreary Higgins Stadium. I'm Tobias Zabore, joined by Kyle DeSantis. Kyle, the Bombers in a spot. They'd like a win before entering Liberty League competition. Not necessary, but you'd like to see it.
And again, for Ithaca, they've lost their last 2 games. And, of course, a win is what they want, especially those 2 games have been in interesting fashion. Again, you had the big loss to St. John Fisher, and we can talk about last game all we want with that heartbreaker to Hamilton. Again, going into the playoffs, a win could be in their favor that they would want. Again, they've lost their last 2. And for Skidmore, they've won their last 2, so they're coming in with some momentum here to Higgins Stadium.
Yeah, the Thoroughbreds, as I said earlier, they need a win and a loss by Rochester against Union if they want to sneak into the last spot in the Liberty League playoffs. The Bombers today honoring Senior Day. Kayla Howley, the only member of the team who is a senior on this club, one of their backup goalies.
Yeah, and again, they had Howley getting recognized prior to the game. So we're about to get underway. Both the huddles on their respective sides for Skidmore going from right to left, Ithaca left to right. About to be broken and about to get underway here for the first quarter.
The Bombers finished their final conversations as they get ready to start this game. They will be going, as Kyle said, from left to right, wearing their white uniforms, white shorts, white shoes as well. Skidmore going the other way in their all greens, the green uniforms and the green shorts as well. On this cold, dreary, and a little bit drizzly day on the South Hill, we see the end of the Liberty League regular season. As in the face-off circle for the draw, as it has been just about all year for this Ithaca team. They have their top face-off, and this is a team that is rested on Caroline Wise. All-time program record for draw controls in this season, 165 entering today.
Yeah, the D1 transfer really made her impact coming to Ithaca last season, has continued that momentum here in 2023, and again, she's going to start off this game for IC as pretty much everyone before this.
The draw is such an important part of women's lacrosse. As the referee gets the ball set between Ella Harris of Skidmore and Wise of the Bombers. Gets set to blow her whistle. We'll back up and we're underway. That ball goes and it's knocked right into the stick of the Skidmore defender. And so the Thoroughbreds start with the ball right now. It's Grace DeBenedicts. She'll hang on to it, move down beyond the blue arc, and move beyond the yellow line as the Skidmore breaks it inside the fan. Now back to the top, passing it over to McKinley. Maeve McKinley sends it over to Camille Pananti. Skidmore on the outside, trying to move in a little toss up top. It's picked up by Skidmore. Whistles blow. There's going to be a foul, and it'll be Thoroughbreds' ball.
Yeah, again, early on, 28 seconds. It's been all Thoroughbreds so far. They're starting to work their way up, and what could be a free position opportunity on the left side for Grace DeBenedictis.
It will be a free position opportunity on the far left for DeBenedictis. Skidmore trying to get on the board early. DeBenedictis breaks in, takes a shot, and he puts it through. Not even a minute into this game, just 30 seconds go by on the clock, and the Skidmore Thoroughbreds in a must-win game lead 1-0 thanks to Grace DeBenedictis.
Yeah, 30 seconds in, the first-year midfielder gets number 17 on the year in that goal tally and puts Skidmore ahead of Ithaca. Again, that free position shot right over the stick to the left of the side of Held's head, and that one finds the twine.
And free position shot, something the Bombers struggled with against Hamilton. That was part of their downfall in that game. They allowed a lot of free position shots and a lot of free position goals. Certainly did not help them during their comeback and then the eventual win by Hamilton. As just 30 seconds into this game, Skidmore already leading 1-0, and on the next draw, the ball goes up, and once again it is picked up by the Thoroughbreds, and DeBenedictis all over that one as she hangs onto the ball, passes it back to Jillian Lockwood. Lockwood sends it over for McKinley. McKinley back to the top. One of the great facilitators of this Thoroughbreds offense passes it over to Pontoni. Sending it back, defended by Caitlin Russell as Skidmore tries to work in, now goes behind the goal, looking for an opportunity to pass it out. A shot in, deflected away, that ball will roll out. and it'll go out of bounds. Skidmore closest to it, they retain.
Yeah, that was Modesti on the right side, went behind the cage and tried to curl it around too strong on the way to the right. It will be Skidmore maintaining possession.
For the first minute and 30 seconds of this game, it's been all Skidmore offense, as hanging on to it right now is McKinley. McKinley passes it back over to DeBenedictis as Skidmore resets back towards the top of that blue fan. Hanging on to the ball right now, Jillian Lockwood, before she passes it back over to McKinley. McKinley, heavily contested by this Bombers defense. Tries to pass it out, faces a lot of pressure, ball on the ground. A scrum around it, and the Bombers able to pick it up. A white jersey and a sea of green, as Ithaca now running down the field, hanging onto it is Sydney Phillips.
Yeah, great defense there by Wise, able to make Skidmore cough the ball up, and now Ithaca's going to work behind the cage with Chloe Nordyke.
Nordyke hangs onto the ball, moves behind the net. Now back over to the far side. Tries to move into the blue fan, passes it up top to Maddie Hall. Hall can't corral it. That ball falls around on the ground, but Hall is able to regain possession as the Bombers hang on to it as Natural. Contended by Skidmore. She's moving in and will once again head behind the goal. The Bombers trying to set up that offense where they like to pass the ball inside on a cutting move, as right now Lexi Kellish moves it back towards, again, the top of that fan. Now passing it in on the far side. Just moving the ball around, facilitating control. 35 seconds on the shot clock. So the Bombers still have it on the far side. Passes it near to Lexi Kellish. Kellish sends it in. Nordyke tried to take a shot, but it's deflected. Another opportunity for Ithaca. Shot in, and it goes through. The Bombers, off a Maisie Veach goal, have tied it at 1.
Again, Veach able to finish through. Big shout out to Chloe Nordyke with the toss across for the point. Now we're knotted at 1, nearly 3 minutes in.
And Nordyke heavily contested there, but she saw Veach open, and that's what they've liked to do all season, is those feeding shots inside, especially when Maisie Veach is making that shot. They throw it into her. She's able to make the cut and put it in. She does it again for the equalizer. 12:07 to go in this first quarter.
Yeah, we talked about Veach again. We could, again, continue what she did last year. She's continued so far, and that goal number tallies up to 42 now. She evens this game up at 1. We'll go back to the draw circle in the middle with Wise once again for IC.
She's in the top 10 in the Liberty League when it comes to goals, as Wise over the ball. The Bombers have lost their first 2 draw controls, but now maybe a little bit of momentum in a tie game at 1 as they get ready to get set. We wait for the whistle and the signal. We see waiting on their offensive side is DeBenedictis, who has taken all the balls off the shots for Skidmore as the draw control goes. This time it is picked up directly by Ella Harris for Skidmore, and she passes it back across the white line into the middle third.
Yeah, something's going to have to change for Ithaca. Again, you've lost your first 3 draw controls. And again, you can get some Wise some time to warm up, but if it continues throughout this first quarter, you might have to make a change earlier on.
Well, Skidmore's offense now blazing hot. It's a little bit of a slip on the turf by Jillian Lockwood. She's going to have to reset and pass the ball over to McKinley. McKinley, as they move into the blue fan, now out behind the goal, is Skidmore. Trying to facilitate the offense on the outside. We'll just keep passing that ball around. Trying to find someone inside as hanging onto is DeBenedictis. She's heavily contested, and she's able to find it. Passes it over to Lockwood. Lockwood is in a foot race. It'll go out, and they'll give the ball to the Bombers as Lexi Kellish will now get it by the blue line. Kellish takes it across midfield and will move into the Bombers' attacking third. On the near sideline, Kellish, a one-on-one against Strunk. She'll pass it towards the top as the Bombers' offense now gets reset as Natural sends it over to Caroline Wise. Back to Natural. She'll pass it once again over to Kellish. Kellish to Natural to Wise. As they set the offense up top, a pass inside isn't able to go to Veach, and Skidmore picks it up. That's going to be a turnover.
Yeah, the ball bounced out of Veach's stick, and Skidmore's going to try to continue. They move from right to left.
Well, Cafaso gets a pass upfield, and she's racing down the field now into the attacking third. Not a whole lot of defense to stop her, but Cafaso will meet someone. Ball pops out of her stick. It's on the ground. Whistle blows. It'll be Bomber ball as they pass it back to Lexi Held, and Held will facilitate the offense. trying to move it downfield once again. It's Olivia Puppo. Now into the attacking third. We'll pass it back over. Setting it up, Natural. Natural back to Hall, as Wise now takes it and passes it over. Back to Wise, back to Kellish, back to Natural, who will cut in herself, tries to find the middle shot. Nothing goes, ball drops around. Still being tried to pick up as the ball squirts over. It'll be retained by the Bombers. And a lot of action on the nearby goal, but now it comes towards the near sideline. It will stay in play, and a great job by the Bombers offense and lead Lateral to keep it in and keep possession for Ithaca. As Natural takes it, as they pass it back around the top in that triumvirate of Natural, Kellish, and Wise. Now behind for the Bombers. Back to passing towards the top. Natural. Hanging on to it is Kellish. Kellish at the top. She passes it back to Wise. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Ithaca's now going to have to make a move in. A shot. It's deflected by the goal from Skidmore as Kajansky is able to deflect it, but Ithaca picks it up off the rebound, so they'll reset the shot clock to 60 seconds.
Yeah, big job on the stick stave. We'll continue again as it comes back to IC.
8:37 to go in the first quarter. Tie game at 1. Bombers hang on to it. 45 seconds on the shot clock. Wise running in with the ball. She will look for anyone, but she'll pass it back towards the top for Chloe Nordyke. Nordyke racing in. It's a one-on-many opportunity. There's a whistle blown. There's going to be a foul, so a free position opportunity for the Bombers.
Yeah, and again, this game has been knotted up at 1 for quite some time now, nearly halfway into the first quarter.
It'll be junior Chloe Nordyke. She has 91 points on the season. That leads the team as the whistle blows. Nordyke takes the shot, and Nordyke finds the open spot underneath the stick of Kazanjian, and the Bombers have their first lead of the game. It's 2-1 Ithaca.
Yeah, Nordyke now up to 2 points as she gets her 6th free position goal on the season. Ithaca ahead 2-1, 8:20 to go in the first quarter.
She had 6 goals versus RPI in a game that the Bombers would like to win. She nets her first and gets them on top. That's of the 3 goals that have been scored so far today, that's the second that has been a free position. That's going to play a big factor in today's game. Who gets the most free position shots?
Yeah, those opportunities where you're going to have to take advantage of. So far, both teams have, again, on both sides. Head back to the middle to continue this game now 2-1 in favor of IC.
And as always for the Bombers, it's Caroline Wise. Skidmore rotates their draw control person a little bit more often, but so far this season, Ella Harris has led them with 55. But they're a lot more comfortable swapping in a lot more different players, trying to get anyone on an opportunity to win a draw, and so far today it's worked out for them. As we wait for this one. Wise locked in, waiting for the referee to back off the middle and allow them to start play. Goes up in the air, and this time it's corralled by Skidmore once again. 2 went up, and this time Harris came down with it. As that one goes off the stick of Skidmore, and it's picked up by the Bombers defense, so they catch a pretty early break as Caitlin Russell now runs it down the field.
Yeah, Maggie Mandel immediately after the ball popped out of the stick. Ithaca moving down the middle.
As the Bombers now across into the middle third, they try and pass it towards the far sideline. They're able to make it work, hanging onto it. Morgan Saylor. Saylor runs in. She'll facilitate a short pass to Caroline Wise. Wise at the top. She passes it on the near side by the blue fan to Chloe Nordyke. Nordyke passes it over to Natural, who sends it over to Elizabeth Green. And a whistle blown on an opportunity by Caroline Wise. She went for a shot. The whistle goes before she can get it off, but she will have a free position.
Yeah, she's lined up to the left on that arc around the blue, looking towards the cage.
She will fake in, now go back for the pass to Natural. Sets it up inside, over the top, and Maddie Hall a little too high, so it goes out, but the Bombers have the nearest player to it, so they hold on to possession. Contested, Veach takes a shot, deflected, saved, and Skidmore keeps it a 1-point game.
Another shot off of the stick of Liv Kazanjian, and another time where Skidmore gets away unscathed.
Well, racing down the field is Gabriella Modesti. She's contested by the Bombers, so she passes it over to Sophia Krakow. As Skidmore now facilitating their offense under Jillian Lockwood. Lockwood contested. She passes it over for the Thoroughbreds, now racing across. Skidmore back towards the top to Cafaso. Cafaso breaking in, she passes. And a close one nearly tipped away by Russell as the Thoroughbreds take a shot in, and it goes. And Skidmore has tied the game at 2 with 6:32 to go. That one a shot by Gabriella Modesti. Finds the back of the net. And with 6:32 to go in the first, it's 2-2.
Yeah, you look at Modesti. She leads Skidmore in goals, now up to 36, and we're knotted back up at 2 with 6:32 to go in the first quarter.
An offensive presence by Skidmore that we've seen so far. They are not afraid to be aggressive inside that Bombers attacking third, or defensive third, I should say, their own attacking third. And after the Bombers took their first lead of this game, we're back to being knotted up at 2. And after a couple of games in a row where the Bombers weren't able to score in the first, we are now seeing some more exciting play in the first quarter.
Yeah, in the case of Ithaca, they've been able to get on the board, but Skidmore's been right back for every time. Again, even they did get that first goal back early on, 30 seconds in, as they maintained the possession after the draw control.
Yeah, it was put into a Bombers stick, but whistles were called, and so the Thoroughbreds will hold on to possession. So another draw that the Skidmore Thoroughbreds win. That ball goes out, but it'll be Skidmore ball once again. Hanging on to it is Brooke Lavalle. Lavalle passes it to Lockwood. Lockwood breaks in. She goes inside the blue fan. Contested, hit, but she hangs on to the ball. Passes it back to the near. Now underneath. Skidmore trying to make something go and take their first lead in a while. A shot goes over the head, and Modesti sends it back. It's out. Still Skidmore ball. Thoroughbreds move it inside. Contested, and to the floor goes the Thoroughbreds' number 13, Maddie Marr. And whistles will be called.
Yeah, it was Mandel on the defense. A bit too much of a push.
Well, it goes off the stick of Marr, or excuse me, that one was off the stick of Modesti, and the Bombers are closest to it as it rolls out. So now Ithaca survives that attack by Skidmore, and they'll race into the middle third. Hanging onto it right now is Olivia Puppo. Moves it into the attacking third. Now by the blue fan, she just dumps it off to Nordyke. Nordyke hanging onto it. Moves it behind the goal. She'll look to facilitate a pass. She does it set up as Green can't find it, but nor can the Skidmore defender on her, so it stays Ithaca ball. Natural passes it in. An opportunity, the ball skids, and it goes just wide of the net. Veach the closest to it. Still Ithaca possession.
Yeah, Phillips had it right in front of the cage. Tried to go for the bounce shot off to the left.
Back to the top and Green, who sends it over to Natural, sends it back to Green. She'll send it back up top. Caroline Wise defended. She'll break back towards the top of the fan and sends it over to Green again, who sends it back to Natural. Back to Green. Bombers love their passing game up top. Part of the big set of their offense as they look for somebody to cut in. Now running in with it is Natural, but she'll just pass it once again inside. A shot, and it goes through that one. Elizabeth Green gets the stick, gets the shot, gets the point. It's 3-2 Bombers, 4:23 to go in the quarter.
That was as clouded as a middle that you could have if you're on defense for Skidmore, but Green just slotted on right through. Ithaca takes back the lead 3-2, 4:23 to go in the first quarter.
And it's that offense the Bombers have done throughout the season. They like to keep 3 players up top, then they cut somebody in, and that time, Elizabeth Green, the player who they cut in, so they retake the lead after Skidmore tied it on the last one.
Also, one thing to keep in mind, 3 goals for Ithaca from 3 different players now, Green, Veach, and Nordyke.
The Bombers getting everybody involved on the action so far today, something they struggled with in their last game against Hamilton. It was a lot of facilitating through 1 or 2 players. They'd like to change that. As on the draw control, the Bombers looking to win one this time. So far, it's been all Skidmore when it comes within that blue circle at the middle of the field. Referee gets the ball set. Gets ready, ball comes through, knocked up. It'll be Skidmore ball again.
It is now 6 draw controls to 0 in case of Skidmore against Ithaca.
Well, the Thoroughbreds once again get an early start on the Bombers' third of the field as they just pass it around. Maddie Marr hanging on to it, being contested. Ball squirts out of her stick, but it's able to be picked up by another Skidmore offensive player, Libby Hundy. It goes past McKinley. McKinley trying to race for it. Whistles blow. It'll retain Skidmore ball as McKinley almost lost that one, but the Thoroughbreds able to retain it thanks to the offense of Ella Harris and McKinley. Skidmore moving in top of the blue arc. Tries to pass it up. Knocked down. It is retained by the Bombers as picking up is Lexi Kellish on the far side of the field, and she will pass it back inside their own defensive third, but the Bombers will move back to offense. Racing down the field is Maggie Mandel. Mandel loses it. There's a Bomber right there to pick it up on the far side, and Maggie Mandel will pass it back in. Misses a pass. Fighting for it on the other side, and it'll be Skidmore ball. As closest to that one was Grace de Benedictis. So she will have it on the far side of the field in their own defensive third for the Thoroughbreds, contested by 2 Bombers. She passes it near side. Ball skips off the turf. It's going to be a 2-on-1, though, and Skidmore will be able to maintain possession. It's Maeve McKinley facilitating their offense so far today. She passes it out and sends that one back to Karina Benanti. Benanti sends it over to Hudner. Hudner in the Bombers' defensive third. She's heavily contested, and after going for a shot, she will now back up and go behind the goal and try and look for a pass towards the top of the arc. Hudner, still contested. She passes it towards the middle, and it finds the stick of a Bomber. And what a job by the Ithaca defense. Right place at the right time, picking it up. And going down the field is Julia Foster. Foster into the attacking third. She will look to facilitate the offense breaking in. She takes a step, and there's going to be a whistle blown, and Foster will have a free position.
The defense going all the way down the field, and now the free position. Foster, a great run on that play with now just over 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Foster to the left of Kazanjian. She breaks, gets the shot, and a save by Kazanjian. That's her first shot of the year as Foster went for her first collegiate goal, but it's saved by Kazanjian.
Yeah, Kazanjian's now up to 4 saves on the day. She has given up 3 goals, but so far there has been about 50-50 in that opportunity for both sides.
Olivia Puppo sends it to Natural as we have a stoppage as the referees will confer as they stop the play. Hanging onto it, Natural. She'll pass it back to Wise. It'll be sent over for Lexi Kellish to Natural. Brings it back underneath for Nordyke. Nordyke to the far side as the Bombers move back to that passing offense that they love so much. Kellish breaks in. Kellish passes it behind the goal. Setting it up on the far side, another pass.
They were doubling Veach down low near the baseline on the left. Had to pass out and reset.
Trying to keep Veach from her move of passing in and then trying to get the cut-in goal as a quick stoppage before the Bombers resume play. 51 seconds left on the clock. Under a minute to go. That's the Bombers facilitating their offense. 29 seconds on the shot clock. 40 on the game clock. A pass, an opportunity, whistles blown, and Lexi Kellish will have an opportunity on a free position shot. Their second of this offensive drive.
Yeah, Kellish has been just over 50-50, 5 for 11 when it comes to those free positions so far this season. Number 12 now up.
Kellish takes the shot. It's deflected, but it's picked up by the Bombers, and on the back end scoring, Maisie Veach finds it off the deflection, and Kazanjian was not ready, and the Bombers double their lead. It's 4-2 with 30 seconds to go.
Hey, if Veach can't pass in, she might as well just get the ball off the ground and put it in the net herself. And that's exactly what she does to put Ithaca ahead by 2. 4-2 the score now, 34 seconds left as Veach gets her second goal of the day.
A little more comfort for the Bombers as they'll head back towards the center of the field, doubling their lead to 2, the largest lead for anyone so far today. Off the Maisie Veach pick and score down low. Kazanjian made a valiant effort on that save. She kicked it out, but Maisie Veach was in the right place at the right time. They send Wise back to the draw control circle to face off once again with Ella Harris. And so far, it's been all Skidmore. We'll see if that changes on this draw after the Bombers get a little bit more momentum going on their side. Kicked up, moves out, and the Bombers have a draw control. Hanging on to it, Lexi Kellish. Kellish can't hang on to it in her stick, however, so it's right back to Skidmore. Almost doesn't even matter for this Ithaca team, as they race into the attacking third. Trying to even it up, 15 seconds on the clock. They want something to go before this quarter ends. Onto it is McKinley. McKinley, 10 seconds. Ball goes out of play, so they'll have 5 seconds to move it in quickly. 4, and they might be playing for the next quarter. 1 second, a pass up top. Horn sounds, and the Bombers end the first period up 4-2 on Skidmore. Kyle, Ithaca needed a first quarter where they were able to score a lot of goals, and today they found it.
Yeah, again, they were able to find it. We did get to see 3 different goal scorers for IC. You have Green, you have Veach, and you have Nordyke. Nordyke also with 2 points, as well as Veach, who has 2 of those 4 goals. But one thing, again, we talked about the draw controls this entire time. One thing from just looking at it is, again, Ithaca just had their first draw control out of 7 attempts to wrap up that first quarter. But if you also look on the turnover side, Skidmore is well ahead of Ithaca in that case, 8-3. So, yes, Ithaca hasn't been starting with the ball out of the draws, but they've been able to get it back, and they've been able to facilitate their offense, especially once they're near the cage and out in front.
And so far, the big story for the Bombers, while their offense has produced, how about that defense? They've allowed only 5 shots. They've caused 4 turnovers already, 9 ground balls. Something that we weren't seeing late yesterday or late on Wednesday was that defense. Today, Bombers defense has come out, and they looked hungry.
Yeah, and also you look at the clears. Ithaca 7 for 7 perfectly in that margin. So the defense and the offense have worked so far for Ithaca through this first 15, and with about under a minute left before we get away with quarter number 2. They're going to have to continue that. Again, the draw controls is something that they are going to have to switch. I'm sure they're talking about it right now when it comes to Carrie Moore in the huddle for IC. Caroline Wise is going to have to step it up if they want to continue to add to this lead that is up to 2 as of now.
Well, Kyle, before we start this second quarter, a quick look around the Liberty League. William Smith will end the year undefeated. They beat Vassar 19-8. What a season for William Smith once again. And RPI currently leading Clarkson in another key matchup. RPI currently seated 4th in the conference. They would like that confirmation. Clarkson needs a lot to go right if they want to make the Liberty League tournament, and part of that would have been a win today over RPI. Still time left, though, in the third quarter in that game.
Yeah, and you look at the 4th and 6th spots. It's RPI, Union, and Vassar. They're all 5 and 4. Again, that puts more into perspective what you just said, Toby, with how important this game is for the Engineers.
A lot of tiebreakers at play coming into this final day of the Liberty League regular season. One of them on Skidmore's side, we alluded to earlier, need a win and a loss by Rochester. That game will start in about half an hour at 2, but right now they need to come back down 4-2 as we get set to start this second quarter. As the Bombers break their huddle, they will flip sides of the field, so Skidmore will be moving from left to right, the Bombers from right to left. In the second frame, as heading back into the draw control circle for Skidmore is Ella Harris. She gets set to face off with Caroline Wise once again. Getting set to start this quarter of action on a misty sky day from Ithaca South Hill. Hasn't quite been raining today, but certainly has been wet weather. Not necessarily the best for walking outside with glasses on.
We would both know that, I'll just say. And, walking over, I was in the nearby apartments. There was some speckles going on my frames, but it's gotten better right now again inside the press box here at Higgins Stadium.
A draw control almost won by the Bombers, but it went off the stick, and so it's retained by Skidmore. Unlucky bounces off the draw, and they will hang on to it after the whistle blown. On the far side, passing it in, is Sophia Krakow. Krakow to Modesta. Modesti passes it back over for Lockwood. They hang on to it. They're able to keep the ball in play, and now going out of bounds is Maddie Marr. And Marr will hang on to it. So it'll be a free position, but Marr behind the goal. She will look to pass it. and she will. She just sends it over for Lockwood. Lockwood up top, deflected by the Bombers, and it is picked up by Ithaca. Racing down the other side, Caroline Wise. Wise intercepts the pass, and she's got room to run. Top of the fan, facing pressure. She just sends it over for Veach. Veach runs inside, goes down, and the flags go up. So a foul, and Maisie Veach will have an opportunity after driving inside. Clarkson threw her to the ground, but she will get a free position shot.
Yeah, Veach ran just to the front left of the cage. Went for the shot. It bounced actually off the post, but she's going to get a chance once more. Free position lined up to the left.
1 minute into this second quarter. Veach takes a shot, but it's deflected by Clarkson right off the stick. They may have knocked it out of her stick.
I believe that's what happened.
But she will get another free position. So Maisie Veach, after the first one knocked out of her stick by a Skidmore defender, 13:52 to go in this second quarter. She will go again. Whistle blown, and she started a little too early, so Skidmore catches a bit of a break. Score will remain 4-2, 13:45 to go. As in goal, Kazanjian passes it, deflected, but it'll stay Skidmore ball as Kazanjian waits inside the goal. Skidmore's defense passing it around as they try and stay within their own defensive third, looking to move it out, but the Bombers' defense making it a little bit tough on them. Racing into the middle of the field, now passing into the attacking third. Hanging on to it, Skidmore. Now they've got a one-on-one in front of Lexi Held, and it goes out of play. A shot by Jillian Lockwood, wide open, and she misses the net. And now Ithaca has possession.
Yep, you pushed it a little too wide to the left. Not ideal. Again, Ithaca now has the possession there in the middle, trying to move into their attacking third.
Well, Skidmore was on the fast break offense. Now it's the Bombers on the fast break offense as Natural has it. But she will slow down as she nears the top of the fan as the Bombers look to move their offense around. Continues to pass it back, Lexi Kellish. Kellish to the far side, facilitating the offense. Back underneath to Nordyke. Nordyke towards the top of the fan. Trouble hanging onto it is Natural. Whistle blows, still Bomber ball. Natural will have it, and she will look to pass to Lexi Kellish. To Wise. Wise breaking in. She takes a shot, and Caroline Wise bounces it off the turf, and the Bombers make it 5-2, 12:22 to go in the second.
It's about time before Wise got in the scoring column again. 12:22 now left in the second quarter. The bounce shot in front of Kazanjian and moved away and puts Ithaca's lead now up to 3, 5-2.
And the Bombers, after a close start to this first quarter, now running away in the second, up by 3. They've gone on a 3-goal run.
Also look for Wise and looking at how many goals she has so far this season. She's now up to 35. Third on the team behind Nordyke, who's at 39 after her earlier goal, and Veach, who's up to 43.
We go back to the draw control circle by the A of that Ithaca Bombers logo at the midfield turf here at Higgins Stadium. Getting set under it once again, Ella Harris. Controlling all the draws so far. All but one have gone the Bombers' way. Having a really good day so far. As that one goes up, but this time it will be Bombers' possession. Catching onto it is Lexi Kellish. Kellish quickly by the blue fan. They pass it over very fast, and Maisie Veach, talk about record time, 10 seconds, and the Bombers add another goal. It's 6-2 Ithaca.
Yeah, went down low off to the side, pulled it around the left post, and past Kazanjian. It's now 6-2 IC again. Not even 10 seconds, maybe even that, after the draw control went Ithaca's way.
And that's how big draw controls are in this sport. Just 10 seconds after they get their first possession, only their second draw control win of the game, they make it count.
Yeah, Veach also has a hat trick now with that third goal. The first of anyone in this game to get to that total. She's also the only player with multiple goals, now up to 3 points. Nordyke had an assist on Veach's first goal. She has 2 points on the day for IC.
Well, a timeout call, so these teams will converse their strategies as Skidmore finding themselves slipping away in this game already in the second, 12-12 to go. They're down by 4. The Bombers have gone on quite the run, Kyle.
Yeah, and again, they've scored 2 goals so far in the second after scoring 4 in the first. They've had some fun when it comes to that with spreading the wealth. You have 4 different goal scorers. And again, we talked about the defense coming into this quarter. Still perfect on clears. Ithaca is 9 for 9, 10 ground balls. They've forced 5 turnovers.
Yeah,
defense can turn to offense.
As you were saying, defensively, this team, that's what they were starting with in the first, was fundamental defense, and right now that's paying off. They're not winning draw controls, but when they're not winning the draw controls, they're taking the ball away and getting it down the field for their offense to take advantage. That's been a big key so far in this game. What do you think Skidmore's talking about in their huddle? They call the timeout. They need something to get right here.
Well, Elizabeth Goularty's definitely talking about keeping the ball control ready. You already have, again, the 9 turnovers so far in this game. You want to be able to slow it down. Yes, you have had Ithaca. They've gone on a little bit of a run. Look at Kazanjian. She has a few saves as well. It's been a little bit of a rougher start to the quarter so far for her, but again, if they get the ball control in manageable state, they can easily get back into this game. This is a team where both teams are really good when it comes to the scoring offense. 4th and 5th, Skidmore ranked 4th at 14. Ithaca just under 14, 13.5. They're right next to each other in the Liberty League, so both of these offenses can score when they can. It's just a matter of getting the ball control set and getting in motion.
Explosives is something that comes to mind when you think about these two teams, and certainly something going through the head of Elizabeth Goularty, the head coach, 100-game winner for Skidmore, is that goaltender spot. They have 2 goalies who play in just about every single game. Phoebe Beschlian is the one who sits on the bench so far for Skidmore. She came in for 6 minutes against RIT in their last game, that win. They've been switching starting roles, but so far they're riding it out with Kazansky.
Yeah, and really talking about Beschlian, you look at this Skidmore team, they've gone back and forth. You have Beschlian, she hasn't factored into the last 2 games when it comes to the decision. But again, those games being the Westfield State game and RIT, rather, the last 2 that she played. So it's kind of been on and off when it comes to her and Kazanjian when it comes to who's in the cage for Skidmore. It's going to be interesting, maybe see if they switch it over going into the second half, but there's 12-12 left in the first half, and we're about to get underway.
Well, on the draw control, the Bombers, after winning the last one, took all of 10 seconds to make it 6-2. They look to win another one. Skidmore looks to keep their tight grip of draw control wins in check as that one goes up. It sails over the head of everyone by the circle, moves around, whistle blown, Bomber ball. Hanging on to it right. Oh, Skidmore ball, excuse me. The side's flipping. Still working that one out in my head.
Yeah, each quarter you got to get used to it, flip around, and still Skidmore with the possession after the few whistles that flew by.
Well, Modesti for Skidmore takes a shot, but she misses wide of the net. But a foul called as Modesti gets back up, and Skidmore will have an opportunity by the goal.
Yeah, you look at Held, where she has allowed the 2 goals. Save tally is empty so far.
Well, taking it near the top is Gabriella Modesti on a free position right in front of Held. She takes a shot. It's deflected by Lexi Held. Moves out towards the blue line. Picked up by the Bombers. Hanging onto it is Liney Dutcheshin.
Yeah, the first time the stick saves have come in place for IC. That one by Held, able to kickstart this Bomber offense as Kellish is in the attacking third.
Lexi Kellish uses her speed and gets down the field quickly. She flips it towards the top. And Chloe Nordyke, who sends it to Wise. They send it to Veach. Sends it over to Sydney Phillips. Now the offense in that passing mode. Towards the top again. Phillips, contested, so she sends it out for Nordyke. Nordyke to Kellish. Kellish underneath. Passes it back. Now to Nordyke. At the top of the fan, she sends it over to Phillips. Back to Nordyke still. 40 seconds on the shot clock. 10:45 on the game clock. Passing it around, waiting for that one player to cut in. Skidmore's defense keeping the Bombers just passing it around the top of the fan. As Chloe Nordyke now tries to make something go. Passes it over to Phillips. It's deflected off a stick. And Skidmore knocks it out of the stick of Sydney Phillips. And so they get possession in their defensive third.
Yeah, and Phillips, she's gone for the bounce shot a few times so far in this game. I'm sure the Skidmore defense has really taken note of that and was squandered out that time.
Well, hanging on to it is Kazanjian. She finds somebody, and that is Lyra Strunk, as Strunk takes it across the midfield line, racing down, being trailed by a Bomber, but she just flips it on over to get their offense facilitated and started. Passing it over for McKinley. McKinley sends it back to De Benedictis, who sends it to Lockwood. Lockwood behind the goal, behind that blue line, sends it back inside. A flip. Nobody there as she tried to take a shot. It was deflected off a stick. Goes wide. The Bombers hang on, but a whistle blown. And it'll be a free position shot for Skidmore.
Yeah, right in front of the cage. You can get a little too handsy with the pushes. In that case, it's going to result in a free position for Skidmore.
Lily Schwartzman will take it. On to the left to Kellish. She backs off and will pass it around. Does not take the shot herself, but will allow one of her other teammates to make it. 35 seconds on the shot clock. Hanging on, it was to Modesti. Modesti to McKinley. McKinley breaks in, takes a shot. It's deflected by Lexi Held, and she picks it up. She's being heavily contested by Skidmore as she will look for anyone to pass to right now, as Lily Schwartzman tried to get something there, but she is able to find somebody, and the Bombers' offense will take over.
Yeah, Pontoni again maintaining the pressure around the cage, and it's a turnover with Skidmore moving fast.
Ball squirts around the middle, picking it up right there is Ella Harris. Harris gets the ball knocked out of her stick. She'll go for it. Can't find it. Down by that blue line, and it goes out of bounds. Bomber ball. They have the closest person to it. And so Caitlin Russell will have it. Now on it. A heave by Julia Foster towards the near side to get this offense going into the middle third. Pushed out, but hanging on to it are the Bombers. It'll be Lainey Dutcheshin who passes it over. And Dutcheshin will have to reset by the near side blue line just in front of the press box. She'll run into the attacking third and pass it quickly over to Caroline Wise. Wise sends it over. A shot, that time by Elizabeth Green, goes well wide, really fast, but the Bombers hang on to it. Phillips has it, passes it back to Natural. She'll facilitate from the top of the circle. Back to Phillips. Natural. 37 seconds on the shot clock, 8 minutes on the game clock. They pass it behind the goal by the blue line. Chloe Nordyke over to Maisie Veach. Veach to Phillips to Natural. Back to Phillips. 20 seconds on the shot clock. Content with passing it around, now trying to cut in is Elizabeth Green. She'll just pass it behind as Veach tries to find someone across the middle. She does. 9 seconds on the game clock. Caroline Wise has to run to the top of the fan. 5 seconds on the shot clock. 3 seconds. Hanging on to it. A shot over towards Natural. She'll go. The shot clock ends, and so that one will not count. Skidmore ball. And it skips right off the turf, and right after the shot clock goes against them, the Bombers get the ball back, but it's tipped out of the stick, and now Skidmore once again has it on offense. Changing hands twice in the middle of the field. Now racing down is Schwartzman. She will facilitate a quick little pass over to McKinley. McKinley to Modesti. Modesti to McKinley. To De Benedictis. De Benedictis sends it inside towards the near side for Jillian Lockwood. Back to De Benedictis, who sends it to McKinley. They'll pass it in for Modesti. Modesti heavily contested by this Bombers defense. She will look for anyone as she runs to the far side of the field, outside of the blue fan. Now tries to cut back in, looking for an opportunity. She'll take a shot, and a save by Lexi Held. Ball stays in front, and Held will hang on to it. The Bombers offense will take over once again. 6:15 on the game clock. As moving across the field is Caitlin Russell. Russell into the attacking third all by herself, as she will pull back and send up the passing offense as it sends over to Natural. Natural to Phillips. Phillips towards the top in Green. Green to Natural. Sending it over. Now trying to cut in is the Bombers offense. Maisie Veach has it. Veach towards the top. Phillips. Phillips cuts to her left. Now passes it back to Veach. Veach moves inside. She'll pass it towards the top in Green. Green, top of the fan, passes it to Phillips. Phillips moves to her right, now to her left. Phillips goes in. She will not take a shot, though, and she will move it back to Veach. Veach towards the top of the fan. She passes over to Nordyke. Nordyke cutting in. She will go behind the goal now. 25 seconds on the shot clock. 5:15 on the game to Maisie Veach. Veach back towards the top. More passing as this offense trying to set it up now. 15 on the shot clock, a shot, but it's saved by Kazanjian.
Yeah, the ball popped right into Kazanjian's stick. She's able to pass it on up. Now Skidmore left to right.
A quick break for Skidmore. Now they set up their passing offense by the fan on the right of Lexi Held. Now cutting in near side to the left of Held. Hanging on to it, the Thoroughbreds on the near side of the fan, passes it over to Marr. Marr to the backside. Behind the goal, trying to run it in. Skidmore, nothing going there, so they pass it back out to the top of the key. A flip to Lockwood, who picks it up. She tries to cut in. Not able to. A shot. It clangs off the top of the crossbar. Rebound by Skidmore. Flipped off the stick of Held. Still Skidmore ball. They reset the shot clock, so 60 seconds. 4:15 on the game. And Jillian Lockwood once again facilitating the passing as a shot by Pananti. Couldn't go. It hits the crossbar. So the Skidmore offense resets, 40 seconds on the shot clock. A little flip inside, misses a shot by Sophia Krakow, goes out of play, still Skidmore ball. A lot of opportunities in this last possession for Skidmore. Still nothing yet, 3:50 on the game clock. Thoroughbreds passing it around inside, 20 seconds now on the shot clock. Trying to take a shot there was Cafaso. She couldn't find anything. Squirts around inside, and Lexi Held able to find it. And so a great offensive opportunity for Skidmore turns into absolutely nothing. 3:30 to go in this quarter, still 6-2 Bombers. Now hanging onto it, Natural. Lee Natural runs into the attacking third. She'll peel off and send a quick pass back for the Bombers to set up their offense. Moving in behind the goal is Nordyke. Nordyke turns around, takes a shot, bounces it off the turf, but over the head of Kazanjian. Maisie Veach the closest to the ball as it goes out of bounds. 3 minutes on the clock, still Bombers possession. Phillips over to Green. Green sends it back over towards the backside. Veach has it. Veach up top. Natural inside. The fan takes a shot, but she passes it back over instead to Phillips. Phillips now the top for Green. Green moves it over. Ball rolls. Trying to pick it up with the Bombers. By that baseline to the ground. It'll be picked up by Skidmore. Pops out of the stick. Trying to find it there is Elizabeth Green, but she's able to. Contested 2-on-2. Resets the shot clock. 2:20 to go in the game. In the second quarter, excuse me. Nordyke passes it to Phillips, who sends it to Green. Green hangs on the top of the fan, sends it back to Phillips. Phillips tries to cut in. She takes a shot low. Kazanjian able to find it on that safe, bounces into her stick. So 2 minutes to go, 86 seconds on the shot clock, and Skidmore resets their offense. As the Thoroughbreds racing downfield with under 2 minutes to go, trying to get something going. It pops out of the stick of a Thoroughbred, so it's Bomber ball.
Yeah, Lily Cody's been doing a great job on defense, applying pressure, getting the ball to pop off, and get Ithaca more chances on the offensive end.
1:30 to go, just 90 seconds left in this first half, and the Bombers now have the ball on the attacking third. They have 70 seconds on the shot clock, so they can really run this quarter down if they so choose, as they set up a slow passing offense, and that looks like what they will be trying to do here. As hanging onto it is Elizabeth Green. Green at the top. She'll now cut inside the fan. Green chased back out by the Thoroughbred, so she passes it to Phillips. 50 seconds on the shot clock. 1:05 to go in the quarter. A flip back. Green can't find it. Goes over her stick, but she's able to race back and pick it up now under a minute. 55 seconds to go in the second quarter. Phillips back to Cody. Lily Cody cuts inside, contested. She takes a shot, and Lily Cody bounces it off the turf. No one on the Thoroughbreds defense was really looking at her, and Ithaca extends their lead at 7-2 with 47 seconds to go.
Yeah, the first year from Connecticut finding her way into the goal. She had a goal back on the game against RIT, and now is up to 5 with that one to put Ithaca up by 5 with 47.5 seconds left to go in the first half.
Lily Cody did not see action in the Bombers' most recent game against Hamilton. She played a little bit against St. John Fisher. She had an assist and a shot on goal, but no goal in that game. Hadn't had one since the RIT game, as you mentioned, and right there gives the Bombers a little bit of breathing room before the end of this first half. They extended to a 5-goal lead. It's now 7-2. The shot clock will be turned off for this next possession for Skidmore. They need to make something go here if they want to get a little something going into the half. Into the draw control circle. Wise and Harris. Make it set. And they'll back off before heading back in. 47 seconds left in this second quarter. The Bombers up by 5 in a 7-2 game. As now everything going the Bombers' way after a bit of a shaky start on draw controls. That one tipped up. Found by the Bombers. They win another draw control. And so now their offense gets going. And there's going to be whistle blown. It's going to be a push against Skidmore. They shove down to the ground on the Bombers' offensive side as they retain possession. That foul was called after a shove against Olivia Puppo. So Puppo in the attacking third. She passes it over to Wise. 20 seconds to go in the half. Wise to Kellish. Kellish, 15 seconds in the half. Back to Wise as the Bombers will pass now 10 seconds. Veach passes it back to Wise. Wise, 5 seconds. She moves in. Wise takes a shot, goes wide, 2 seconds, and that will be the end of the first half. As the Ithaca College Bombers, after a struggling first half in their last game, come in roaring. They lead 7-2. We go to the break. Kyle, the Bombers, everything went their way in that second quarter.
Yeah, again, you talk about the second quarter where you outscore Skidmore 3-0. You get other people in the conversation when it comes to the scoring category after having already a few make that jump, and you go into the half with a 5-goal advantage over the Thoroughbred.
In a must-win game for Skidmore, they are seeing their season potentially slip away on the South Hill. We're going to take a quick break here. Stay right here for the halftime show between Alex Chiproot and Parker Hollandowner. You're listening to coverage of Ithaca College Women's Lacrosse on 92 WICB Ithaca and the Bomber Radio Network.
Scores, news, highlights, interviews, and more. Sports talk this and every Sunday right here on 91.7 FM WICB Ithaca.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
What's up?
This is Anton Pieri, WICB's music director. Tune in
After this? All right.
8 to 9. Here are the fresh modern rock tracks I add to the station each week for the first time on air. Discover the next...
Got about 15 seconds on this promo, and then I'll play the sports bed.
And the newest music from your favorite artists. That's Monday nights from 8 to 9 on 92 WICB.
All right. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's 7 points for the Bombers, 2 points for the Skidmore Thoroughbreds here on Freeman Field, here on the South Hill. Welcome to the Ithaca Bombers halftime show. I am Parker Hollandowner. Here alongside me is Alex Chiproot. Alex, finally, the get-right spot that the Bombers have been craving for the last week and a half. The offense has come out hot. The defense has played shut down. And the turnovers have been fewer than they've been for most of the season. Alex, how are you feeling about this Bombers team after 2 quarters of play?
I'm feeling great, Parker. I think this is exactly the half that I wanted to see coming into this game from the Ithaca Bombers. I mean, a great job from them overall. I mean, you mentioned the turnovers, which I think is the first thing that I should start with, as I think that's been the number one thing that's been plaguing this Bombers team. Skidmore has more turnovers than Ithaca, which is a great sign to see, as Skidmore has 11, Ithaca only has 8. There's no longer that 2-to-1 turnover margin that I mentioned in the pregame show going against the Bombers anymore. That has been wiped away, and it has shown so far in this game. 7 goals, 3 for Maisie Veach on 4 shots so far. She's been working from her office down low on that baseline on the near side. She's been doing a great job. She got, I believe, 2 of her goals that way so far this half. It's a great start here for the Bombers.
Now, because of the Senior Day festivities, Coach Carrie Moore has had a lot of rotation throughout the roster. How has that been showing out? Has it been a positive thing? Has it just been neutral? And how have the seniors been performing today?
I think it's been really positive so far. You know, we saw a lot of players that you normally wouldn't see and that we haven't seen in a couple games in the St. John Fisher or the Hamilton game come in and play a big role in this game so far. We saw players like Olivia Puppo, Lily Cody come into the game early on. We saw Julia Foster come in and make a free position shot early on in this game. And so there's been some definitely players who have come in and made an impact, and we're still waiting to see whether Kayla Howley, the backup goaltender, who is the one senior on this squad, is going to come in and make an appearance later on in this game. I would not be surprised. I mean, Ithaca has a comfortable lead, and especially if they continue to grow it, I would not be surprised to see her come in for Lexi Held. However, Lexi Held has had a great start so far, only 2 goals against with 5 saves so far in this game.
Now, Alex, the score is obviously 7-2 at this point through 2 periods of play. What has allowed Ithaca to get out to this lead most of all to you? Has it been the defense or has it been the offensive attack?
I think it's mainly it's not been either, actually, in my opinion. I think it's really been the missed opportunities from Skidmore. I think Skidmore has had quite a lot of chances in this and some rare miscues from the Ithaca defense that I haven't seen often throughout this season. However, you know, Jillian Lockwood had a 2-on-0 against Lexi Held with one of her teammates, and she could not convert. She actually missed the shot completely wide. Lexi Held didn't even have to make a save, and it was a wide open opportunity for Skidmore to get an early goal early on in the second period in order to try and get back into this game. And I think that there have been more similar to that, to where Skidmore really just hasn't been firing as effectively as what we expected coming into this game. Especially, you know, you talked about in the pregame show how white hot this offense was coming in. It has not been that way so far. They haven't been able to execute against this very stout Ithaca defense.
Now, looking to the defensive side of Skidmore, obviously we've seen 7 goals already scored. That is a flaw on the Skidmore defensive side, but you also have to look to the goaltending at this point. Bechelian has not had the game that many people were expecting, myself included, after having a couple of very good performances in a row. Do you think we could see Liv Kazanjian come in at some point later this game?
Well, it's actually Ben Kazanjian who has been in goal, and actually, I would not be surprised to see her continue so far throughout this game. And I think she's done a solid job. She had a little bit of a rough start, but also I think it's been mainly her her defenders who have let her down a little bit. I talked about earlier how Maisie Veach has been able to work from her office down towards that baseline. I think that's an area where her defenders have not been able to really lock her down, and I think really going forward, that's the number one thing Skidmore needs to shore up on defensively. It's locking down that baseline, because we know that's Maisie Veach's office. That's where she loves to work in from the baseline, and so I think going forward, that's the number one area where Skidmore's defenders have to look to try and shut her down.
Now, despite me getting that backwards, it has been a middling defensive performance for the Skidmore Thoroughbreds early in the game, but still time to turn it around. Looking again to the offensive side for Skidmore, who do you think could be the key to them really turning it back on? Obviously, only 2 goals scored is not nearly where they need to be if they want to advance here or if they want to advance further in the Liberty League tournament.
Well, absolutely, but we talked about her a little bit, the player that I'm going to mention, which is Gabriella Modesti. I think coming into the game, we talked about her. She's number 1 on the team in goals so far, and she does have one of the 2 goals already in this game. However, she has to step up. She has already recorded 6 shots and 3 shots on goal in this game, and only 1 goal has resulted from all that offensive production. She needs to start executing more and getting more of those shots from just regular shots to be shots on goal, to actually force Lexi Held to make some saves, make sure that she has to work for all of those saves that Lexi Held is racking up. And I think her and Grace DeBenedicts have been the only 2 players that have really been generating a ton of offense for this Skidmore Thoroughbreds team. And so I think definitely Modesti has to step up for sure going into the second half in order if Skidmore wants any chance of coming back into this game.
I'd definitely also be looking for Jillian Lockwood to step up in some form. Now, looking over to the side of the blue and white, if you are head coach Moore at this point, is there anything that you really need to be looking to adjust right now? Is there something that Ithaca needs to do better to close this game out?
Well, I think, I talked about earlier how there was a blown coverage with Jillian Lockwood a little bit earlier, and I think that's one thing she needs to maybe shore up on. We've seen a lot of the Ithaca defenders like Caitlin Russell and Maggie Mandel have been pushing up into the middle zone, more towards the offensive restraining line, which has been a little bit unconventional. We haven't seen that throughout, the rest of this season, and so I wouldn't be surprised if she tells those defenders to drop back a little bit, maybe play a little bit more active defense, because we don't want, obviously, another 2-on-0 situation as we had in the first half where Skidmore simply just wasn't able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to keep the pressure off of Lexi Held, because if she is fired on too much, eventually she's going to let something go. An excellent performance so far, but anything can happen in these last 2 periods of play. That is going to do it here for us on the Bombers Halftime Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Alex Chiproot, I am Parker Hollendonor. Toby Zabore and Kyle DeSantis will be back on the call right after this on WICB and the Bombers Radio Network.
Hey, it's Ithaca College alum and SportsCenter anchor Kevin Connors. 91.7 FM is your home for coverage of Bomber sports. Keep it here, WICB Ithaca.
You guys ready? I'm just playing one promo real quick.
Department present How Are You Actually? The podcast that aims to promote an honest discussion about college students' mental health. I'm your host, Caitlin Smith. Twice a month, I'll highlight important issues in the lives of college students, including expert interviews and my own insight. Hear segments first on Ithaca Now, Sunday nights at 7, and stream full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Search WICB Presents How Are You Actually to learn how we are, actually.
Are you guys ready? 4, 3, 2, 1.
Back here at Higgins Stadium for Ithaca and Skidmore women's lacrosse on this Saturday matinee here between the two teams. Again, Kyle DeSantis and Toby Zabore on the call. And coming into the second half, Ithaca leads Skidmore by a score of 7-2. Again, Toby, it was a back and forth kind of first quarter. Ithaca was up 4-2 after the first 15 minutes, but after those next 15, Ithaca scored 3 goals. That's how we're at this current score today.
Yeah, the Bombers, they started that first quarter, as you said, a little bit rusty. They weren't able to find anything going, and then they turned it on, and they really have ever since kind of not looked back against Skidmore, and a large part of that has been their defense. They've done a great job of taking the ball away from Skidmore and really moving it around.
Yeah, we were talking about the goaltending situation for Skidmore in the halftime show with Parker and Alex, but it's going to look like it will be Liv Kazanjian staying in there for Skidmore. Again, so far between the pipes, she has 4 saves against 7 goals allowed. Ithaca will be moving from left to right, Skidmore right to left. Ithaca, again, their white uniforms with the blue lettering and trim. Skidmore on the other side in their greens with their white letters and trim. Especially, looks like it could be also some yellow piping along the numbers as it's back to the draw control circle. Caroline Wise being there for IC. 7-2 the score. Again, entering quarter number 3 between Ithaca and Skidmore. The Bombers and the Thoroughbreds up in the air. One by Wise, immediately moving from left to right. She moves over to Nordyke. Nordyke working now behind the cage, passes across to Veach on the left side. Veach back up top to Wise. The Bombers offense will look to reset. They do like to pass around the perimeter and then find someone cutting in for a shot opportunity. Natural all the way to the right. Nordyke once more. Bouncing away from the stick, back in for Natural, being defended there by McKinley. To the left side, Wise. Now behind the cage a little bit. Comes back up top to Kellish. Kellish to Wise, the left of the perimeter to Veach. Veach spinning. Fakes it now to the left, backs up top to Kellish. Kellish driving down the middle. Kellish, ball pops out of her stick and right into Kazanjian, but the whistle is blown, so a free position opportunity is on the horizon.
And that was so big for the Bombers in that first half. They had 3 free position shots from Kellish, Foster, and Nordyke. 2 of those went in for goals, and they get another opportunity.
Kellish the ball straight away, charges down, bounces in, and she scores to open up the third quarter. Kellish puts Ithaca up 8-2. 13:58 to go in quarter number 3.
Yeah, her second free position shot of the day, and that one finds it in. Lexi Kellish, what a good job. And for Skidmore, you wanted to come out with the goal. They had one other time this season where they trailed by 5 at half and came back to win that game in double overtime. That was their first game against Babson. But now you trail by 6. It's going to be a lot harder if they want to keep their dreams alive.
Kellish now up to 2 points after getting her first goal on the day. She's up to 7 now this season. Makes her second free position goal on the campaign as we head back to the draw control circle in the middle. Again, it's going to be Wise and Sellers for Ithaca and Skidmore in their respective colors. Now 8-2 the score I see over Skidmore. 13:58 to go in the third quarter from Higgins Stadium. Awaiting the referee to back away. You have Phillips and Kellish behind as Wise keeps it herself. Immediately passing up to Veach on the left side of the field. Veach cuts back to the middle, still charging in. Pass tries to go over to Phillips, but it's out of the stick and on the way for Skidmore.
Yeah, another draw control won by the Bombers. That was something that they were struggling with early on in the first half. They changed that towards the end. Now it's all Ithaca.
Gabriella Modesti. She's going to pass behind the cage as Skidmore will look to get on the board in the third quarter. They were kept silent in the second. Now up top to Benedictus, excuse me. She moves over to McKinley, right side to Lockwood. Driving. Bounce shot saved by Lexi Held. Took that up to her 6th on the day. Defended around the circle by Schwartzman. Big pass up top, bouncing away from Dutcheshin. It's back for Skidmore. The recovery there by Maddie Marr. Marr passes out on the left side now to the middle. It was over to Benedictus, who goes to McKinley rather as the whistle blows.
Yeah, and right there, great presence of mind by Skidmore to have someone there. They were able to pick it up off that bounce and keep their offense going, and that's what they need. They need to keep pressure on Ithaca and eventually get something past Lexi Held.
Pontoni now over to Modesti. Modesti trying to get in there, but it's held right in front with the save. 12:24 to go. Still 8-2 in favor of IC. Olivia Puppo on the left side of the field, moving from left to right, now in the middle.
And it's that transition for the Bombers. They're easily getting their offense going, something they've done so far quite well, and that's been what's leading to a lot of their goals.
Right side now nearing the attacking third for IC is Caitlin Russell. Russell passes away to Natural. They move more towards the middle, now farther on the left side to Wise. Up top to Kellish to reset the offense. Again, Ithaca working around the perimeter as normal. Beach back to Wise. Up top, Kellish. Moving on the right side now, Nordyke. Look to pass behind the cage before moving left to Natural. Charge for Kellish. Down in the middle, being defended by 2 thoroughbreds. Over to Wise. Wise bounce shot. Sails out of bounds. Wide to the right. 30 seconds on the shot clock as Nordyke comes out after the ball getting out of bounds. Kellish. Closed in as Natural now will have the ball with the whistles blowing.
Yeah, another easy free position shot for the Bombers. If Skidmore wants to win this game, they cannot keep allowing these.
Natural, this is her first free position shot of the day, 6th of the season. Shoots up top, and she finds the twine. Natural makes it 9-2 IC, 11:16 to go in quarter number 3.
Yeah, and that one looked like a knuckleball out of her stick because Angian could not see it. It was not a hardly thrown one. It was just so light, and I don't think Kazanjian even saw it, and it went right over her stick, and the Bombers increasing their lead. It's those free position shots, free position goals. That's really what's dooming Skidmore so far.
Yeah, now 9-2. Ithaca again leading over Skidmore. The margin for them is going up and up now into the third quarter. Nearly 5 minutes gone by as we head back to the draw control circle. It's going to be Foster and Wise, rather. Foster giving Wise her stick as they swap out. We've seen Wise go back and forth between the stick with the yellow head and the lettering and the black netting and head that Foster uses.
Yeah, it seems to be one that's really good for the draw control, but that she might not like to use in play, but Foster likes to use it in play, so they switch off.
Past Kellish, and it is McKinley moving from right to left. Being defended by Puppo, she passes out to the right. Now behind the cage, Skidmore. 11:01 left in the third quarter. It's number 17, Modesti, and Modesti passes up top to Benedictus. Ball pops out of her stick, but she maintains it, keeps it alive after defense from Puppo and Kellish just to pass out to Lockwood. Lockwood to the right, defended by Foster, and now Phillips shot into the stick of Lexi Held for her 8th save.
And Lexi Held, what a day for her. She's done such a good job of stopping Skidmore's offense. They've had a lot of opportunities, but she held them scoreless in the second, and now looks to try and hold them scoreless again in the third. They've only been held scoreless in 3 entire quarters this season. They were held twice in an early season game and against St. Lawrence once.
Yeah, Held also coming off the game where she had a career-high 19 saves. Again, was the heartbreaker against Hamilton that Ithaca lost 13-12. Now 10:08 to go in the third quarter. Ithaca leading 9-2 over Skidmore. Moving around the perimeter, now on the right to Cody. Cody got on the board today. Now Veach down low. Back up top. Phillips driving, bounce shot into the left, and she scores. Phillips gets on the tally. It's 10-2 IC.
And they've been using the bounce shot a lot today. They've just been hitting that ball off the turf, and Kazanjian cannot see that. She's not been able to find it. It's been going both under her stick, and then she tries to lower it down, and they're able to shoot it back over her stick off the turf. That's going to be one shot where I think she's going to look back at this game and think back on that, especially if she's moving into next year as a junior. She's going to want to work on that during the offseason.
Yeah, those bounce shots, especially for a goalie, are so unpredictable because you don't have the full idea of where the ball could be going. Again, you said it's gone over her head, it's gone past her stick, up or underneath, rather. And Ithaca continues to add to their lead now, 10-2, 9:54 to go in the third quarter. It is Wise and Harris once more in the draw control circle. Wise has really started to warm up in the circle. Now it's still 9-5 in favor of Skidmore, but there's a time where Skidmore won the first 6 to open up the game.
There was a time that looked like Harris might break her set a season best in draw controls earlier in the game, and as of now, that pace has kind of been thrown off, but that'll help.
Yeah, Harris does win the draw control for Skidmore. Into the Ithaca third, being defended by 2 Bombers. She's trying to work away. You have Puppo in the mix. Ball's on the ground. It will remain, I believe, in favor of Skidmore, and it will. The referee, the signal wasn't as clear as could be, but it's intercepted by Wise from left to right. Has Veach on her left, continuing down the middle. Now on the right side, pass across to Veach. Veach went to the mid side, shot, score! Cuts inside, and Veach finds the twine. 11-2 IC, 9:17 to go in quarter number 3.
And that was a beautiful pass over to Maisie Veach. Just flipped it up, and it was a little looper that Veach was able to see, communicate with, pick it up, and then shoot it in. Skidmore was not expecting that, and right now their defense has fallen apart against the Bombers. What a run Ithaca has gone on.
Yeah, Veach now up to 5 points, 4 goals with an assist to get to that number. 11-2, the score for Ithaca. 9:17 to go in quarter number 3. Already 1 goal away from how many they scored in their last loss to Hamilton. And a timeout is called out on the field. The Ithaca bench is happy with what they've done so far to move their margin up to 9 ahead of the Thoroughbreds.
Yeah, and you talk about the game when the Bombers wanted to get right. After that Hamilton game, things were starting to fall apart, it felt like, on their side towards the end. They just needed something to set themselves right before going into the tournament. This is the exact thing you need to do to get yourself right before going into the tournament. And a win today would be so huge because that locks up the 2 seed for Ithaca. And if they get that 2 seed, they get the 7 seed here, and that's going to be a lot more favorable.
Yeah, it is going to be a lot more favorable, especially with how the playoffs can shape out for the Liberty League. We were talking about it earlier today where there are a lot of spots up in the air. You have the 4 through 6 seeds all tied. When you look at RPI Union and Vassar, again, those are games that are currently underway. But right now, Ithaca, they lead 11-2. It's going to be the timeout for Skidmore, where head coach Elizabeth Gillardi is going to talk some things over with her team as their huddle is the first to break. Currently down by 9 again, as we mentioned.
Yeah, and the big thing is just going to be goaltending, trying to figure out those bounce shots. Skidmore, if they want to get back into this, that's going to be very crucial. They just have to read that. I think they're going to stick with Kazanjian, though, the rest of the way, build our confidence up, and maybe try and get some luck out of her. Another important Liberty League game to watch, though. Clarkson is now officially out of the picture. They lose to RPI, so one of those key games to watch throughout the Liberty League, 18-13. The Engineers will get a good spot in the playoffs after that one.
Yeah, RPI was one of those 3 teams, as we mentioned, that were tied with both Union and Vassar when it came to the 4th through 6th seeds in the Liberty League. Again, today really wraps up the season for both teams. Again, for Ithaca, they have their spot handled fairly well when it comes to the playoff seedings, but a win going into it would be ever more better after they've lost their last 2 games to both St. John Fisher and Hamilton. Their last win was against the Liberty League team, though. That was back on the 15th against RIT.
The Bombers still talking it over on their side, but yeah, the Bombers, you want those Liberty League wins. These are the most important. Obviously, you want to win those out-of-conference games because those help with regional rankings, and that's ultimately what's going to or not going to get you into the NCAA tournament if they can't win the conference. But you win your own conference games. That sets you up really well in your own tournament. It means you won't have to face a team like William Smith until much later on.
Especially with how good William Smith is, rather, in the Liberty League. Again, we mentioned earlier on the broadcast, they won their game today. They finished the regular season undefeated. They were the number 3 team when Ithaca played them just earlier this month, and it was an 8-17 loss back on the 12th. Draw control circle in the middle, 9:17 to go in the 3rd quarter. Ithaca leads 11-2 over Skidmore. It's Caroline Wise and Ella Harris once again. Phillips and Kellish out on the circle. The ball goes up in the air. It is picked up by number 21 in Sydney Phillips for IC. Kellish speeding down the ramp, trying to go down the middle. Passes out to the right side for Phillips. Whistle blows.
Yeah, and there's the speed of the Bombers, especially they're using it with Lexi Kellish. We saw it earlier where she was able to race down the field, and no Skidmore defenders were really able to stop her. One of those quick shots, that was on that 10 seconds when they were able to score earlier in the second.
Free position underway for Nordyke. Tries to bounce it in, goes off of the letters of Kazanjian, and that one goes down as a save. Passes out over to number 5 in Brooke LaValle. From right to left, ball up in the air, and still being fought for, ultimately won by Elizabeth Green for IC. She goes to Nordyke on the right side, driving down the middle. It's on her other non-dominant hand before the whistle blows to stop the play.
Yeah, and on that save from Kazanjian, you kind of saw that she didn't really see it all that well. Her expression was very much could not see the ball, just kind of backed up, moved her shoulders up, and was able to block it out in front and then get a stick on it. That's going to be something I think we're going to see Ithaca take advantage of here, especially with Nordyke, a willingness to bounce it in front.
Straight away to the cage, Nordyke tries to bounce it in. Stick save by Kazanjian, bounces back in, scores off of the comebacker, and Ithaca's lead moves to double digits, 12-2, with 8:28 to go.
And that's one of those goals that doesn't often happen when, things aren't really going your way. But once momentum builds and everything starts rolling in your way, goals like that start to happen. And the Bombers got extremely lucky there off the shot because it was a great save by Kazanjian. It looked like she was able to find it, but Nordyke was in the right place at the right time, and she just knocked it on in. And a day that's gotten bad for Skidmore only gets worse.
Yeah, and it was Nordyke again who was able to get the ball right back after the bounce shot bounced off of Kazanjian's letters 59, and she was able to put it past her once more to put Ithaca up by 10, 12-2, 7:49 to go. The clock now running here at Higgins Stadium.
Yeah, and with those 10-goal leads in women's lacrosse, once you get to that point, the clock continues to run after a goal. When it's not like that, the clock stops. So we're going to see a bit of accelerated pace.
One more tidbit as well for Nordyke. She is now up to goal number 40 on the season with that last one. Today, Nordyke has 2 goals and an assist for 3 points as Wise wins the draw control, passes to Phillips, moving from left to right. Phillips now in the attacking third for IC, goes to Nordyke on the right side, being defended by Lara Strunk. Pass up in front, blocked shot. It will find the twine on the bottom right corner. Ithaca's now up 13-2. That happened so quick.
Kyle, how many different ways can you say luck and fortunate for this Bombers team? Everything is working out on their way so far today. This is the ultimate get-right spot for this Ithaca team. They needed it, and they're getting it. And now Skidmore went from going into the half of a possibility for a comeback to now looks like the door has been shut closed, and looks like they're going to have another long off season.
Yeah, that was Maddie Hall there who was able to get it, and it was really hard. There was a jumble of people in the middle, and someone fell down as the shot went through, but it bounced down on the low right corner, puts Ithaca now up by 11, 13-2, 6:21 to go in the third quarter. Back to the draw control circle for Wise and Ella Harris.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see these starters play out the rest of the third, but once we go to the fourth, I don't think we're going to see a lot of these big starters for the Bombers in this position. Looks like they're already warming up Kayla Howley over there on the far side. She might come into goal instead of Held, and I think they're just going to take everybody else, rest the rest of the players, and get ready for the playoffs.
Howley, the lone senior for IC, was honored in the Senior Day festivities prior to the game. As the draw control goes to Skidmore, it is Lockwood who passes over to McKinley. And this is a Skidmore team that so far hasn't scored in the third. They didn't score in the second, and it's interesting because they started off this game 30 seconds in being up 1-0. McKinley around the crease to the right, tries to pass across to Cafaso, who regains possession and moves down low to Modesti. Modesti goes straight in, and she finds the twine. Gabriella Modesti shoots one past Held. It's 13-3, 5:14 to go.
Well, for the first time since the first period, and quite honestly, early in that first period, Skidmore has a goal. It was 6:32 left in the period when Gabriella Modesti even the score at 2-2 for the Thoroughbreds, and ever since it has been drawn for Skidmore. They have not been able to find anything until then, and Modesti, her second goal of the game, and that snaps a very long skid, and that might get something going in their own heads, but you wonder if it's too little too late as we see Howley come onto the field.
Yeah, Howley comes in. The bench went crazy. Have the fans out in front, clapping their hands, getting excited. It's 13-3. The clock's still ticking because it is a 10-point game, but Kayla Howley, the lone senior in this Ithaca roster, will now go between the pipes, taking out Lexi Held.
She's making her fourth appearance on the season. She last appeared against Bard. She had a save in that game. She faced her most shots against FDU Florham way back early in the season in just the third game. That was a win for the Bombers. Back-to-back Liberty League all-academic player. Now getting her shot on Senior Day.
Draw control ball still flying by on the turf. Will be fought for and ultimately won by the Thoroughbred. That one was kicked out to their own defensive third, then moved to the left before the ultimate pickup. Moving from right to left now, Lara Strunk. Strunk being guarded by Olivia Puppo has to pass out to the Benedictus to give Skidmore the ball behind the cage now with 3:35 to go in the third quarter. Trying to wrap around. That one was Maddie Marr. The defense there down low. Ball's tipped and ultimately picked up. That one there by Maggie Mandel. Passing it up top to Natural. Passing the midcourt line. Natural moving down to the middle after starting to the left and now switches to her left hand to continue into the attacking third. Passes in. Shot is stopped by Kazanjian. Picked up by Skidmore as Kazanjian has the ball back in her stick after a pass from a teammate. She will go over to McKinley. McKinley being defended by Natural. She's taking refuge on the right side, and she passes up front to number 27 in Cafaso. Cafaso speeding down the aisle. She goes for a shot and scores. Cafaso makes it 13-4. Now 2 goals in the third period for Skidmore. 2:36 to go in the quarter.
And pretty quickly, Skidmore takes advantage of the fill-in goalie in Howley there. I think that was something they were going to try and do, is take shots off her and see if they can't claw their way back into a little bit closer of a game. That will also stop the clock. It is now under a 10-point game. But for Skidmore, you got to think they're finding their offense, but it's a little too late at this point maybe.
Just over 17 and a half minutes left in this game. Score now 13-4. Ithaca leading over Skidmore. 2:36 remaining in the third quarter will be Wise and now Lockwood, it seems, in the draw control circle at midfield.
Yeah, Lockwood, one of those players that they like to substitute in sometimes for Harris. She has 22 on the season coming into today. There's a lot of players, including De Benedictis, they like to throw in that draw control circle as well from time to time, and Walsh.
Waiting for the referee to back away from the positioning of the ball. She does show up in the air and out of the stick of Phillips before it is picked up by McKinley for Skidmore. Being defended by Green, she goes on the right side and stops to move more towards the middle to Benedictus. Now behind the cage is Marr. Marr was looking and now continues on the right side of the field before passing out to Lockwood. Lockwood to the middle to Cafasso. Cafasso just had the last goal for Skidmore with 2:03 now remaining in the third quarter of play. Lockwood moving down the middle, tries to pass down low to the left. Being defended there was Modesti. She falls down, and a later whistle, it seems, will give Skidmore a free position shot.
Yeah, and right there, they just try and cut inside. A Bomber foot in the wrong place at the wrong time to the ground. So they'll get another opportunity in front of the goal.
Modesti with the free position, 1:54 to go in the third quarter. She tries, and she finds the twine, passing one by the left of Kayla Howley.
Gabriela Modesti so far really the only offense Skidmore has found going. She scored their last 3 goals in this game. The only reason why the clock has stopped and why this game is starting to become a little more competitive. Great job by Modesti, and for the Bombers defense, a little bit of a breakdown inside. You can't allow those free position shots, but also you don't want to get too aggressive and risk injury at this point.
Yeah, Modesti with the free position goal, her 4th in that area on the season, now puts it to 13-5, still in favor of Ithaca over Skidmore. 1:47 to go in the third quarter. We'll go right back to the draw control circle with Wise and Lockwood for Ithaca and Skidmore. In between the H and the A and the Ithaca logo at midfield at Higgins Stadium. Skidmore's won the last 2. Up in the air. Tipped by Lockwood, still fought for on the ground. Picked up by Wise, and it will be in favor of Ithaca as the ball sails by Nordyke. That one will go out of bounds, and will go the other way in favor of the Thoroughbreds. Another big pass. This time it is Puppa who picks it up for IC. She's moving down the middle, calming down at the perimeter, and moves it over to Nordyke on the right. Up top now to the left for Wise, who has the stick with the black head and matching netting. The other side of her draw control stick with the yellow head and netting up top. Ithaca working around the perimeter, now Green. Left side to Wise. Wise trying to go inside to the middle. Tries to pass down low. You had Hall in the vicinity before it is taken away by Skidmore. Defense there being played by Victoria Benanti. Kazanjian passes, and now it is in the stick of Modesti, cutting back in the middle, and now striving past the IC defense. 27 seconds left to go in this third quarter. Will be Marr traveling behind the cage. Not looking to wrap around, passes to Lockwood. Up top on the right. 14 seconds remaining. Lockwood. Back up top. Pass down low. Bounce shot off. Wide to the left out of bounds. 7 seconds now to 6. Skidmore trying to get one more in the tally to end the quarter. Shot up high out of bounds. And that is how the third quarter will wrap up. 13-5, Ithaca leading over Skidmore. Skidmore able to get back in the scorers category, though Ithaca, they added on a quarter high of 6 in the third to make it 13-5.
Yeah, and what a good job by Skidmore there. They didn't let their offense get down. They were able to figure some things out against this Ithaca defense. I think the big thing, though, from Ithaca is they're starting to take their foot off the gas, and I think that's the right thing to do at this time. You're up by a lot. This game seems just about out of reach now for Skidmore. They would have to make an 8-point comeback in this fourth quarter, something we have not seen if they wanted to come back and win this game. And if you're the Bombers, you don't want to lose players at this point in this kind of Liberty League game. You want everybody fresh for that 2 seed in the tournament. So I think we're going to see the Bombers take their foot a bit more off the gas. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kayla Howley stay out there the rest of this fourth quarter. And I think for Skidmore, I don't know what they're going to do in goal. They might try to send Phoebe Beshian in. She's coming usually late in games. She did that in the last one against RIT. I think that might be the direction they're going to turn.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, especially about a minute left in between the third and fourth quarter. You have the huddles on the left and right side of the field. For Ithaca, it's with head coach Carrie Moore, and the Thoroughbreds, it is with Elizabeth Gallardi. You do have someone who's being helped off the field when it comes to Skidmore in Modesty, who we've talked about her impact to the game. That could be a bigger loss to this Thoroughbreds team, especially with 15 left to play.
Yeah, 3 goals, 2 free position shots, 6 shots on goal, 9 shots total. You talk about Skidmore's offense. Really, there's just one part of Skidmore's offense today, and it has been Modesty. And it's really been Modesty all season. She is top 10 in the conference when it comes to goals coming into today with 35 before today's game, now at 38 goals. She had 6 in her last game against RIT. She's got a lot of really good plays so far, and she's also a player that has a lot of connection to this city in Ithaca. Her dad played lacrosse at Cornell University, so this is not her first time doing lacrosse or seeing some form of lacrosse or being involved with some sort of lacrosse in the city of Ithaca.
Yeah, again, her father played at Cornell over on the East Hill with the Big Red. So the bell sounded. We will now go into the fourth quarter of play. Ithaca moving from right to left. It will be Howley remaining out there in between the pipes for IC. Skidmore will be moving from left to right. It's going to be Lockwood and Wise once more. In the draw control circle, you have Phillips and Kellish. Out on the perimeter for IC, you have as well McKinley and Benedictus for Skidmore. 15, the final 15, what could be on the clock, up in the air. The draw control underway. It is won by Caroline Wise. Ithaca from right to left passes over to Veach. She backs away for the replacement stick. Veach will maneuver the ball now up top to Phillips. Right side over to Hall. Nordyke passing behind the cage to Veach on the left side. Now 14:33 to go in the fourth quarter. Up top, Phillips. Goes back to Kellish. Playing catch now to Veach. Up top, Phillips once more. Phillips will maneuver the ball outside to Maddie Hall. Another thing for Ithaca, again, they can take the time off the clock as much as they can with these passes on the perimeter. Shot clock now cut in half to 45 as Kellish will fake the drive and pass out after almost losing possession.
Yeah, don't expect to see if they can make any serious attempt on goal until it's under 20 seconds on that shot clock.
Nordyke bounce shot almost into the goal, but it was tipped by Skidmore in front of Kazanjian. And now Phillips will enter with the whistle blowing.
Yeah, and an important thing to mention right now, Union up on Rochester, so for Skidmore, that might get in your head after this game if it turns out to stay that way.
Free position shot for Phillips. She sails it wide to the right. Ball out of bounds. It will be Skidmore with the possession now. 13:40 to go in the fourth quarter. Being defended by 2 Bombers as to pass back into Kazanjian. Now back in her circle, away from the oncoming defense in the form of Nordyke. Skidmore now back to the middle of the field, moving from left to right. Pass up front, number 22 and Emma Sellers. Sellers being defended by Lainey Dutcheshit. Behind the cage is Maddie Marr. Now up top. One there for the Benedictus. She waves off a few players as they're lining up on the left side for an ISO of sorts against Dutcheshin. Ball pops out of her stick, and it is a whistle blowing, so Kellish will have to pause for a preposition.
And that looked like a really good job by Lexi Kellish, able to knock it out, but she makes a move in too far on that stick. and so they will not allow her to continue to run down the field there. It looked like she was going to have a great opportunity for a fast break.
12:43 left in the fourth quarter. Skidmore with the ball. It's going to look more like it's just a foul, not exactly a free position opportunity. Vita Benedictus on the top of the arc. Again, Kayla Howley in goal for IC. Awaiting the whistles to blow to get underway.
It was outside the 12, so it will not be a free position due to that rule. A thank you to Alex Chiproot on that. A resident
Play
knower.
will now resume. Pass up top, and is Howley going all the way out there to try and play defense. The whistles will blow. I think this time it will be I'm honestly confused with what's happening right now because Howley is not in the goal, so it was the foul on the play. So now the net is empty for Skidmore with an opportunity.
We're going to need Alex Chiproot on this one.
And that shot bounces in off of an Ithaca stick. I don't think I've ever seen that in this sport. 13-5, rather 13-6 now. 12:25 to go in the fourth quarter.
Even our resident knower of lacrosse up here in the booth, Alex Chiproot, not exactly certain what that was. Best guess, it may have been a flagrant that forced Howley out of the goal. They get an opportunity there, and they make it work, but it was tipped towards. It looked like that might go over the top. The Bombers' defense did a good job, but on a play like that, that's a kind of once-in-a-year thing where I don't know if we're going to see that ever again.
I don't think I'll ever see that again in women's lacrosse, as we have Wise back in the center for the draw control circle.
It was a foul called on Howley. That is why she was out.
It was a foul on Howley, so that's what happened with the empty net. That was an interesting play as Wise goes back to the normalities with winning the draw control. Veach with IC in the Skidmore attacking third. 12-12 to go in the fourth quarter after a free position goal technically goes to Maddie Marr, who bounced off of an Ithaca stick. Out in front, a shot and a score. It's Nordyke once more. Ithaca 14-6. Little over 12 remaining.
Well, Skidmore was on a roll there. They had put some more shots in. They had about a 4-goal run going, and then Chloe Nordyke takes control, moves it in very quickly. Another time when Ithaca gets the ball off the draw control, and just as soon as they do that, they put it through.
So Ithaca goes back up 8. 12:02 remaining in the fourth quarter after a series of goals. Again, we've seen Skidmore get back in the offensive tally today after going silent in the second quarter. They've now scored 4 goals across the third and fourth. But Ithaca gets on the board for their first goal in the fourth quarter to put it back to 14-6. Draw control circle, Wise and Harris for Ithaca and Skidmore, awaiting the referee to back away. Looking to reset now. Referee was about 2 paces back before going back in, and now she backs off. Up in the air, won by Ithaca, now is Kellish moving down the middle. Kellish fakes the pass, keeps to the left, loses the stick after a shot down as Skidmore with the possession now. Passes to Kazanjian to gain the freedom of working in the circle, though she now moves up to find an open Skidmore defender. Goes to the middle of the field, and she does find someone in the form of number 17 in Modesti.
Something we've seen each team have a lot of is speed in that middle third. They're taking control, running it down the field quickly, getting their offenses set sometimes before the opposing defense can get truly aligned.
Jillian Lockwood now behind the cage, moving to her left. She trips a little bit after trying to wrap around. They're going to say it was a push. We're going to have another free position for the Thoroughbreds.
Yeah, now the Bombers' defense, it's been a long day out there on the field for them. At this point, just kind of waiting for this one to come through.
11:08 to go will be Lockwood. Howley with the save off of her stick out of bounds. Ithaca was the closest as it sailed away, so it's right to left for Mandel. Now continuing down Natural. Nordyke will keep it behind the cage, moving from left to right, though she keeps it to her left. Up top to Phillips. Phillips left side to Wise. Wise has gotten in the Skull Cali before. She bounces in. It went through her legs in the 5-hole, and it is another goal for IC.
Talk about rare goals. Today we saw one with no goalie in it, and there one that got through on just a bounce, dribbled in, and for a second it looked like it was staying out, barely rolled in the crowd for Ithaca. They've been involved recently, but not there on that goal. They're more involved on the defense, and especially the saves by Howley. They want to see their seniors succeed on senior day. Have they, as our own Dean Gutic, our own resident senior, would say, a senior day special.
So Wise gets back in the goal category. She now goes up to 2. You have Phillips with the assist. That's her first assist of the day. 15-6 the score now. 10:32 to go in the fourth quarter. Back to the center once more for the draw control circle. And we've seen a lot of abnormalities in this game. We've seen free positions with no goalie. We've seen now a shot that dribbles by over the line. It's back for Ithaca with Wise winning the draw control. Immediately passing off to Maisie Veach before switching the sticks. Foul called on the play. Ithaca will continue with the possession as LaValle struck down hard on her counterpart, also wearing number 5 in Elizabeth Green. Ithaca on the right side as Cody goes to Nordyke. Back right arc to Cody. Ithaca continues to work the perimeter in green, trying to drive down low to the left. Dishes out to Veach, who finds a cutting haul, tipped away, and ultimately the whistle blows. Free position potentially on the horizon with 9:49 to go in the fourth quarter.
That's going to be the perfect spot for a free position, too. It's right in front of Kazanjian. It's pretty much a direct line to the goal. No one to stop her.
Direct line, shot, score. That one there by Natural. Ithaca back up 10. The clock starts to run once more as it's 16-6.
Yeah, and for these fans, it means a little less time out in that weather. And just like a good subway service, good direct line always works out for the Bombers.
So Ithaca goes back up by double digits. We do see the goalies switching out for Skidmore. Kazanjian will be subbed in for Phoebe Beslian, rather.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about when was Beslian going to get involved. Maybe it should have happened sooner in this game. They bring her in now, and she'll have an opportunity. She played in the last game, 6 minutes in that one, and now she'll have 9 minutes against the Bombers in what will now looking like the final game of the season for Skidmore.
Yeah, you've seen Beslian and Kazanjian really. They've been a platoon almost at the goal. Both of them have logged around the same time when it comes to minutes in between the pipes as Ithaca wins the draw control once more, moving from right to left in the white uniforms and blue trim. Now as Veach is on the left perimeter, working now to Nordyke behind the cage. Nordyke to Cody. Phillips maneuvers it to Green, back to Veach. Veach backing up after the immediate try to cut it. 8:08 to go in the fourth quarter. Ithaca leads 16-6 over the Skidmore Thoroughbreds. Veach looking for an opportunity, but goes behind to Green. Green wrapping her way around. She shoots, and she puts it past. 17-6 IC. 7:45 to go.
Well, Beslian immediately sees a shot and immediately allows a goal. At this point, doesn't really matter much for the Bombers other than it keeps the clock going and allows them one more goal against before the clock stops again. Another thing to look at, halftime nearing. as the second quarter starting in Rochester. Union leads 6-1, but Rochester can take a big sigh of relief. The only thing that was going to keep them out of the playoffs was a loss by them and a win by Skidmore, or a loss by Skidmore and a win by Clarkson. None of those seem like they're happening, so Rochester looks like they're going to punch their ticket to the Liberty League playoffs.
So now starting to look at those playoffs. Again, you have William Smith and Ithaca up top. You have Rochester in the mix. Again, you have something around the RPI Union and Vassar. Some of those teams, again, they're all tied for the 4th through 6th seeds as Wise wins the draw control and gives it away to Maisie Beach.
Yeah, and Kyle, barring nothing short of a miracle here, it would be Rochester that comes to the South Hill on Tuesday for that first game of the Liberty League tournament.
So Ithaca again in the attacking third. Up top now to Elizabeth Green. Green scored the last goal for IC to make it 17-6. The margin now up to 11 over the Thoroughbreds. Phillips switches to her left hand and will go behind the net. Back up top. Natural shifting to her left and passes over to Cody. Cody, one of the many Ithaca goal scorers today. She loses possession but gains it right back. The perimeter being in use as Natural gets the pass and will back away with a find to Veach. Veach posting up in the middle. Gets backed away. Shot clock winding down. It will now be at 20 with 5:40 to go. In the fourth quarter, the flag will be up in the air by the official as we'll reset. 15 now on the shot clock.
Yeah, and a new player onto the field for the Bombers. Haley Armstrong, she's making her first appearance in a couple of games. She last played against RIT, missed the St. John Fisher and Hamilton game, so she's back out there on the field. And now in a game that's kind of getting out of hand and almost decided at this point, she'll get some minutes.
Shot bounces in from Lily Cody to make it 19-6. Rather keep it at 18 as the score on the board was tallied up before I could immediately do the math in my head.
They were prepared for that one.
They were prepared for that one indeed as Cody gets another free position shot. Another goal for her. She's up to 6 on the season. 18-6. The clock continuing to run now under 5 minutes. 4:42 to go. And one thing I was going to say about Armstrong before the free position kind of jumbled up my thoughts were how she's been a really good facilitator when she has played for IC. Again, you did mention she hasn't played in the last 2 games. She's up to 29 assists. A 37-point season so far for her. So she's done a good job. And the sophomore midfielder from Morristown, New Jersey.
And Elizabeth Green is in the draw control circle right now, so Wise, it appears to be done in that sense.
Ultimately, it will be up in the air in possession for IC as Phillips was in the fight against 2 Thoroughbreds. She moves to the left for Lily Cody. Cody will move down to the left side for Veach. Passes behind the cage to Nordyke. Now 3:58 to go in the fourth quarter, 18-6. Ithaca leading over Skidmore. Armstrong. She shoots and scores. Number 9 on the year for Haley Armstrong, and 19-6 now. The score for Ithaca over Skidmore with 3:38 to go.
And you got to think having to watch those last 2 games from the bench and see the Bombers lose, especially the Hamilton one where she feels like she could have maybe had an impact in that game, must have eaten her up inside. So now she gets an opportunity, comes out there immediately, puts a goal in, and helps put the nail into the coffin of the Thoroughbreds.
The clock continuing to run now, 3:18 to go. We'll go back to the draw control circle as it's been Elizabeth Green who's taken over for Caroline Wise. Ithaca now looking at the draw control numbers. They now have a slim lead over Skidmore, 15-13 in that statistic line.
Certainly did not look that way at the start of the game. Skidmore ran away with the draw controls.
Yeah, Skidmore had the first 6. It's going to be Ithaca now up to 16 as Lily Cody picks up the initial fight for it after it flew into the air. Armstrong behind the net on the right side. Pass up top, Natural to Phillips. To Green. Ithaca once more working the perimeter. They could get the shot clock down as much as they can. They have 67 on the clock. Again, only 2:25 in terms of the game clock remain. Catch being played. Up top, Phillips. Now Natural. And Armstrong, Nordyke. Now Armstrong. Armstrong, who recently got on the board with a goal for her 9th of the season. Now under 2 minutes to go in the final quarter of play. Natural being defended out there by LaValle. She will ultimately hand off to Phillips. Now 23 on the shot clock in seconds. Cody. Bounce shot in to the left, and another score. Ithaca has got to 20.
And what an impressive job by Lily Cody. The Bombers breaking out kind of the speak and say of who's going to score today. This is their first time hitting 20 goals since that Bard game earlier in the season when they won 24-0. And against the Skidmore team that came in today with high hopes, searching for their first playoff berth since 2019. Now they're going to have to wait at least another year before they get that opportunity to make it back to the Liberty League tournament.
And again, for Cody with that last goal, gets her first ever hat trick in an icy uniform. Now the score 20-6, Ithaca in favor of the game over Skidmore. We are under a minute left, 55 seconds, the clock continuing to run as we go to the draw control circle in the middle. Green has taken over for Caroline Wise after a quick little fly and a whistle being blown. It will be Ithaca with possession. Cody once more now has it, recently after getting her first hat trick as mentioned earlier.
Yeah, no shot clock at this point, so I'd expect the Bombers just to hold on to the ball as long as they can possibly can. And at this point, take the last 20 seconds and take the win.
Ball sends out of bounds, 20 seconds remaining. Skidmore has possession, though we're down to 15 now as the pass goes to Beschlian. Beschlian being defended by Armstrong goes back to her circle. Now behind the cage and flings it over with 5 remaining. Down to 3, 2, 1, and that'll do it. Ithaca puts up 20 goals against Skidmore on Senior Day as the Bombers go to talk and have fun with Kayla Howley after she wraps it up. It is a 20-6 game, Ithaca 20 goals, and this is a great thing to see for this IC team heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, for Kaylee Howley getting in there, getting her Senior Day opportunity and goal. And for the Bombers, they needed to get right. This was the spot they needed it for. Now they get that 2 seed locked up. You go in with confidence, you go in on a roll, and you continue this streak into the playoffs. You're going to have most likely Rochester at this point. That's going to be locked up with this win. So now that you're going into a favorable position than you did coming into this game when there was a lot of doubts and questioning that we had.
Yeah, the final score, once again, Ithaca 20, Skidmore 6 here on Senior Day at Higgins Stadium. That'll do it for the broadcast side of things, especially on the play-by-play in color for Ithaca College Women's Lacrosse. Again, alongside Toby Sabori, I'm Kyle DeSantis. Let's now head to the post-game show with Parker Hollandoner and Alex Chiproot on 92 WICB Ithaca and the Bomber Radio Network.
Hey there, it's Rob Reinhart, your host for Acoustic Cafe, and next time on the program, Daniel Caesar with his 3rd studio release. Also a reissue of a Nora Jones album from 2012, plus a 30-year-old classic.